This is Scott Fain with the Youngstown Lifestyle Podcast, where I take the time to learn a little bit more about the people and opportunities in the Youngstown, Ohio community. On today's episode, I had the privilege of speaking with three members of Flying High Incorporated. It's a nonprofit organization that offers job training in medical fields and welding and operates adjacent programs such as a drug recovery home and the Grow Urban Farm and Northeast Community Market. Now, Flying High students include people recovering from drug addiction or who have recently been released from prison, or folks looking to retrain and restart their careers. I had initially planned to be speaking only with Parker Maynard, a caseworker at the Flying High and overseer of their local farm, until he brought two of his colleagues along on the call to provide even more information on their upcoming programs. It was a fun conversation, and I hope you enjoy it. So without any further ado, let's start the show. This is Scott Fain with the Youngstown Lifestyle Podcast, and today on my show, I have a couple of guests, a couple of unexpected guests from Flying High Incorporated. I start off with Parker Maynard. Why don't you guys give a little roundtable introduction of yourselves and what your position is in the organization?
Sure, Scott. My name is Parker Maynard. I'm the Grow Urban Farm Supervisor. The Urban Farm is a social enterprise of Flying High Incorporated. And essentially the farm is a place where our students can come and earn a stipend and learn some skills and work readiness, professional development while they're on their vocational track and working with our case managers and our job developers.
Go ahead, Tamika.
I'm Tamika Patterson. I'm Tamika Patterson. I'm the case manager in our healthcare department. Our healthcare consists of STNA, bridging to LPNs, RNs, and CDCAs, chemical dependency counselors, assistants. And what I do is I give each of our clients individual attention to assist them in their goals, to help them overcome their barriers, lead them to resources in the community. So when they are placed into our training program, they are able to go through the training program without any barriers and complete our program.
And my name is Dave Knickerbocker, and I'm the job developer for the advanced manufacturing side of our skills training. And I basically work with companies to create contracts so that our graduates can be placed into jobs. On the manufacturing side, we can actually do on-the-job training contracts with the companies so that we reimburse the companies a basic percentage of what the graduates, the new hire's salary is over the first 6 months that they work there. We reimburse the company basically for them to continue training for another 6 months.
Well, you guys, I really appreciate you talking with me this morning. Like I said, it started off a little unexpected. I was expecting one person, and I got three for the price of one on the call today. But I appreciate it because, like you're saying, this is a very good program. The purpose of our call today primarily is to draw awareness to something dynamic that you guys are doing in Youngstown to help the community. And I wanted to give you guys an opportunity just to talk a little bit about it, and so we can learn about it. So who can tell me what's Flying High Incorporated? Like, what is that?
Flying High Incorporated is a nonprofit that's it's been around 25 years actually. This is our 25th anniversary this year. But initially it was a youth diversion program by Jeff Magada, who is the founder of our organization and is still the CEO. And basically, what it's more now has to do with training adults to do adults with barriers, like Tamika has said already. It's people sometimes come with barriers. It could be drug addiction history. It could be incarceration, kind of getting back into society, or anything else. And we help them to overcome those barriers so that we can train them in a skill that's needed in the valley here. We won't develop a new training program unless we know that there is a real need for it in the valley. And this also helps our businesses, local businesses, because we don't just train on the skill, we also train on soft skills. So and anybody who's graduated our program, first of all, has been drug screened throughout the program. So any of our graduates, wherever they go, we can verify that they've been drug-free for however many months they've been in the program. And that's great for the local employers. but we also do the skills test as well, and we really stress being on time, attendance. We actually have them punch in. They have to do a time clock for all of our courses now, and we evaluate them based on that. And if they don't prove successful with that, then we have to work with them before we place them.
And with case managing, before we even place them into training, and we help them overcome certain barriers where employers want someone to be drug tested or drug free. Employers want them to have reliable transportation. Employers need employees to be on time and everything. And case managers help our clients to basically overcome those barriers before they even get into placement. And if it's a AOD, alcohol, or any other drug substance that is considered a barrier, we as case managers in a team at Flying High, we will get that individual help. We have AOD, meetings here, and we have counselors that's experienced in that. We don't tell our clients, no, you can't get into training because you have a drug or alcohol addiction. We get them help. We get them prepared and help them overcome their addiction before they even placed in training. So that's one of the good things about Flying High also. We just don't turn them away. We welcome them and we help them.
Sounds very proactive.
Yeah, right, Scott. I think it's great. We've got Dave and Tamika on the line because they really represent the primary goal of Flying High is vocational training and job placement. But Flying High is a very dynamic organization in that, as Tamika was just saying, we have an AOD and nutritionally assisted treatment program. We call it NAT. So it's based on 12-step recovery program, but we also have a licensed nutritionist and we have case managers who are leading classes 2 a week for our clients coming in that are facing barriers related to addiction and recovery. And so they're learning about nutrition and how to really activate the body, the mind-body connection in advancing along their recovery and getting prepared for entering the work environment. So we've got that NAT piece. We call it NAT, nutritionally assisted treatment. But we also have the Eagle's Nest Recovery House. Some individuals come in and they really need that environment that fosters their recovery as they get prepared to enter our vocational training track. And then also Grow Urban Farm kind of serves that purpose in a way. It's a transitional place, it's therapeutic. The environment is, it's a beautiful place, and we're growing organic crops, interaction with soil and nature, interaction with one another in an environment that's clean, birds chirping, pollinators flying around. So real positive place in general for, people to work through certain barriers and even mindsets. And so David and Tamika really represent the PDC, which is, I would say, at the core of what Flying High does. That's the Professional Development Center. And that includes, I think on one end, it includes GED completion. So when folks come in seeking, vocational training and job placement, if we need to make sure that there's a high school equivalency, that they have that piece of paper. That's important. And then also we work on job readiness through Grow Urban Farm, and then of course our vocational training. So the PDC is really what they represent, and I'd say that that's at the core of our mission.
And Scott, a real distinction that needs to be made. I'm sure you probably have another question to ask us, but we don't just help people who have barriers. About half of our population, our clientele, don't have drug issues. They don't have incarceration issues. So the Professional Development Center aspect of Flying High will train anybody. And the focus is to train them quickly and to get them out into working into their new careers quickly. And so that's really an emphasis we want to focus on.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you making that distinction. It just sounds like you guys are helping people that need it, whether, like you're saying, with the barriers, whether it be drugs or or underemployment, things like that. So it's across the board, you're just trying to help people. And I think that's a commendable thing to do and something we need right now. Now, when I learned about you, I actually found out about you guys through my partner, Matthew. And one of the first things he mentioned was that you guys are having an orientation that's coming up. Actually, the first one that I heard about is coming up tomorrow. So it might be a little bit late to get going with that for somebody that's hearing about it now. But you were saying that they're going to be every 2 weeks. So if you could tell me a little bit about what the orientation is and what that's about.
Go ahead, Tamika.
Okay. I mean, we got an orientation on the 13th. Our orientation is here at Flying High, and we're located at 6 Federal Plaza Central in the Chase building, and we on the 7th floor. It started at 11. We tell people to be there at 10:45 because our chairs fill quickly. And once you're there at 11, we close the doors. But we cover everything that we offer at Flying High. We give them the steps that they need to do. We give them an orientation. Dave is a big part of that orientation. So, Dave, if you want to go over that orientation part, that would be good.
Yeah. Orientation it basically just outlines the aspects of what we do, just to make sure that people are in the right place they want to be. We clarify, that there is a cost to it. It's minimal, but there is a cost because people have to have skin in the game. Otherwise, it doesn't work. But we also clarify what the costs are. We clarify expectations in terms of our workshops that everybody has to do regarding the soft skills. And it clarifies the fact that we will do drug testing. And there's a lot of questions people have. And it's good to get those out of the way. An orientation usually takes about an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half. So that's something that anybody who's interested needs to keep in mind. And also, we have one tomorrow, but they're generally every 2 weeks. So we have another one coming up on February 27th, and another one the same date in March on the 13th of March. And, so what you should do is, if you're interested, is to call in and just leave us your name and your phone number. Then we can have you on the list so we don't have too many seats.
What's that number?
The number is 330-797-3995.
And then I'll make sure that information is on our site as well, so that anyone who's interested can participate or reach out to you guys to connect and participate. So at the end of the orientation, just give me so it sounds like you're helping people get jobs. Can you just touch a little bit on specifically what professions, what things that someone will learn going through this program?
In our healthcare program, when the students first get into training, it's the STNA training, for instance. We expect them to be on time. We expect them to have accountability, conduct themselves in a professional way, because a lot of these employers don't have that anymore in their employees. They've learned all the necessary skills to become a state tested nurse assistant. They will take the state board. One thing about our class here is everything is done under our roof. You do all your clinicals, all your classroom work, and you also take the state board test under one roof. And our job developer, Danielle, she works before they even graduate. Even before they take their state test, they guarantee to have a job in the nursing field, in a nursing home. And a lot of our girls bridge over to the LPN and the RN program, which is a good thing, because we tell our clients, don't just stop there. Don't just stop as an STNA. We want you to bridge over. We want you to grow with your employer, with the company. So that's our main concern with the health care, is not stopping there, but to continue your education, which most of them do. Our chemical dependency counselor assistance is a big thing right now. As you know, with the opioid addiction going on, there's a lot of companies looking to hire peer supporters and CDCA. And just like a STNA can become an LPN or a RN or CDCA to also move up on the scale. So that's one of the good things. And around here, there's not too many people offering CDCAs. You could get it online, but you don't get that clinical hands-on aspect of it. So that's what makes us different also.
Yeah, we're licensed with the state. I mean, if somebody goes through our welding program, then they get a certification as completing 16 weeks of training, and it's advanced training. It's stuff that the employers are looking for, and that's another benefit for what we do is that employers, and we usually work with SMEs, small to medium-sized employers, and they need people a lot of times who will do what they need, and there's so many different aspects to welding where if I have a partner company, we can go to the company, and I usually take the welding instructor with me, and we see what they do at their company, and then we can replicate what they do in our at our welding school, so that our students, when they go take a welding test, they've already been exposed to it, and the employer can actually see how good our graduates can be specifically with what that company does. We don't have that with at this point with machining, where our students currently go through Eastern Gateway, so we work with Eastern Gateway, and then I can place them after that as well. And same thing with an on-the-job training contract. So basically, from the manufacturing side, they go to school for 16 weeks, and then so for 4 months they're trained in the skills and the basics. And then for another 6 months after they're placed in a job, they're trained again, except at that point they're earning what they learn. And so it's pretty good. I mean, average now for welders, I'll place them between $14 and $15 an hour after 4 months of skills training, which around here is a pretty good amount.
Wow, I really like that. I like how I said proactive earlier, but that's a really proactive approach to, go out and anticipate what the employers are going to need so that you're gearing the training towards specific skills that they're going to need when they come out. I like that a lot.
Yeah, and it's pro-company too. Go ahead.
Right. I think what I like most about our orientation is once you've come in and you get the maybe hour-long overview of all the different parts of the organization and our services, then you have a breakout session where whether you've chosen advanced manufacturing side or the healthcare side, you split up into a separate room with those job developers and case managers, and you get some more detailed information. And at that point, you go right into scheduling your appointment, your intake appointment with our intake specialist, Jamie Hamner. And so when you come to our orientation, you're starting this process, and we really lay out the next steps. So, speaking of proactive, you're never kind of wondering, you're never really in limbo. Once you say yes, and you personally make a commitment to our services and our process, we're really outlining the next steps every step along the way. So the orientation is a great place to just dive right in and get your intake appointment scheduled. Follow up the next week. We've got a couple professionalism classes that are the basic credentials for starting the vocational training, but it really flows out in a nice rhythm from the orientation. So there's not a lot of waiting around, and there's services that you can engage in immediately before your next that vocational class gets started.
Well, I did have a question regarding the orientation. Matt's cousin, he's employed right now, but it's not a full-time, it's not a permanent job. So I know he's going to, he's very interested in participating, but he's not able to make the time that the orientation is. Do you guys have any kind of, how can he still participate if he can't make it to the orientation?
The orientation is it's a requirement of the program. And so what we've found is, we've tried making exceptions here and there, but what we found is when individuals are able to make the orientation a priority, then they're really making the whole program a priority. And so it's when individuals are first of all, I think, Dave, maybe you can help me out. Employment might be full-time employment. Can you describe how individuals are qualified or unqualified based on their current employment?
The current employment is the funding that we have is based on, at least for the funding where we can help the most with, is based on Department of Labor standards, based on the grant that they gave us. So if somebody is full-time employed, that might preclude them. But there are stipulations to that, so I wouldn't have anybody feel like you've been counted out. But if he's in a somebody's in a temporary position too, I think that's something
definitely
that's
eligible,
play in their favor. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they could still get into the PDC program. They just might not be able to provide. MVPE might not provide them services, so they still able to train full time, but not just through the MVPE process. We do have other orientation dates that's not in Mahoning County. We have orientation dates that's also in Trumbull County. So if he can't make it to the Mahoning County one, he could also go to the Trumbull County one.
Okay. So there are options. Just have to talk to you, basically, what it sounds like, to figure out how to make it happen.
March 8th is the next one, and that's going to be at Trumbull County, Ohio Means Jobs, 280 North Park Avenue, Warren, Ohio, 44481. And then again, just call if you're interested in that date in Trumbull County, 330-797-3995.
And that's the Trumbull County orientation.
Right. And it'll all get you to the same place, in terms of flying high and our training programs. Whether you come here to the office downtown Youngstown or you go to Warren, we're just doing some outreach and reaching out to more folks. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys taking the time this morning to talk with me. I have one more. I like to end my segments with a little bit of a random question. So this is one any of you can answer. All of you, I'd hope, will answer. Starting with Parker, what's your favorite meal to cook and why?
Ooh, favorite meal to cook. You know what? Everything's better in a tortilla in my mind, and I like to cook up just some taco meat with the onions and peppers, and then throw something fresh on it, tomatoes, maybe some. We grow microgreens out at the farm, or lettuce or something like that, and I love to cook it because my kids love to eat it, and it's just always great conversation, and I got great memories around the dinner table with my family. With taco night, man.
I'll take that. Tamika?
Right.
I'm trying to change my eating habits, and it's been pretty hard. But I recently just learned how to make eggplant parmesan. So that's my new thing that I'm really liking now, and I've been perfected it. So, and my sons like it, so that's where I'm at.
I have so many follow-up questions on that. I'm just going to let it go. That sounds good. I'll just say it sounds good. What type of eggplant? There's so many I've learned in the last few years. Like, I love Japanese. Anyway. Yeah. Dave, please, what's your favorite meal to cook and why?
I'm not a cook, so my favorite meal to cook is Little Caesar's Pizza. Because I just call up and show up, and it's like my kids make fun of me because like with Norm on the show Cheers back from the 80s, he walks in and they all shout his name. That's like me at Little Caesars. I walk in and they're like, "Hey Dave, how you doing?" So but yeah, that's we don't do it very often, but it's the cheap way to go too. It's kind of neat.
I'm going to pull out my small violin and play you a song, Dave. Oh, goodness.
Tell you how unhealthy.
Well, I appreciate you guys talking with me today. I'm going to make sure to get this information out for folks to come out and see you guys at Flying High, and especially come out and do this orientation, because it's such a good, positive thing that you're doing for the community. And the number to reach you guys again is 330-797-3995.
Correct.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll make sure to post that with this podcast so folks can understand and come out and meet you. So I did have a follow-up. What's the typical size of the class that you guys have for the orientation? Because I want to double it. That's my goal for moving forward.
Wow.
Oh, cool. I don't know that we have enough room.
I know. We cap it off at 60 because, sometimes some people won't come, but we have even more than 60 on the list sometimes when we add them on.
Yeah.
So that's why we tell people, be there at 10:45 because, the seats fill quickly. If we get any more, we might have to go to a bigger room.
Which would be a great problem to have. Double.
Yeah, that's the problem I want you guys to have. All right. Well, thank you again for talking with me. And you have a great day.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Bye.
Take care.